In today's topic, we will discuss about pranayam, how we can strengthen our body so that it can be ready for pranayam. Also, what are the different types of pranayam and its description. In the previous video, we covered asana. That was the third limb. Pranayam is the fourth limb of Ashtanga Yoga. Pranayama shows up in the first chapter of Yoga Sutra before Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga is even defined. Sutra number 1, 1.34. Another way to purify the mind and regain your focus is to focus breathing exercises that emphasize exhalation and breath retention. It simply practically apply the sutra in your daily lived experience. In fact, you can practice pranayam right now by applying the 2 principles of Patanjali's present in sutra, that is 1.34. So let's do it. Let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Continue to breathe. Pay extra attention to your exhalations. Make sure to follow your exhale to its natural completion. Imagine you are fully entering your lungs. Once you feel comfortable taking full exhales, begin to notice the natural pause at the end of exhale before the inhalation begins. Try not to force anything or add any tension in your muscles. Simply notice and allow for the pauses to become longer as it feels appropriate in your experience. The Sanskrit word pranayam is formed by 2 words. Prana means energy, a subtle life force. Ayama has 2 meanings: to regulate, control, and to extend, lengthen, or expand. Pranayam means regulating and harmonizing the energy of subtle life force within the body. Prana is not merely the breath, and pranayam is not just regulating or controlling the breath, but direct perception of life principle, that is prana. By the process of pranayam, individual energy and consciousness are expanded into universal energy. Patanjali's definition of pranayam: on the asana being accomplished, pranayam follows. Regulation of life force through stilling the breath. In chapter 2, Patanjali revisits pranayam. Sutra number 2, verse number 49. That is, tasmani sati shwasa prashwasa gati vicheda pranayama. After you perfect your posture, you can begin to regulate the flow of your inhale and exhale to expand prana throughout the body. Why must one perfect posture before focusing on breathing? When Patanjali refers to posture, he literally refers to how you sit or hold your body in space, not how you perform a crescent lunge or a downward facing dog or upward facing dog. It's important to hold your body in space, and so that it can be appropriate container to receive your breath. Try this. Round your shoulders and back. Assume as a hunch position and take a deep breath. Notice how that feels in your body. Now, find a long spine, relax the shoulders, sit up straight and take a deep breath. Notice if it feels different to breathe when you hold your body upright. Prana or energy naturally expands throughout the body more efficiently when the container in which it moves is less obstructed. Your lungs do their job, whether or not you decide to intervene consciously. In fact, Breathing is one of the only autonomic process in the body you have conscious control over. You can't consciously control your digestion, regulate your hormones, or change your body temperature. Although you can influence these systems based on external choices you make. But you can consciously stop your breath, flood your lungs with oxygen, or affect your balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide by regulating the length and duration of your inhale and exhale. The best part is you don't need even any fancy technique like asana. Patanjali doesn't have much to say about pranayam, but the Yoga Sutra includes more sutra on pranayam, that is roughly 6, then on the asana roughly 2 to 3. Patanjali says we should have a steady posture, that is asana, before attempting pranayam. Because when you practice, the prana vibrates more powerfully. The posture has to be steady and comfortable, and the mind concentrated on the infinite. When this is accomplished, the body and mind become stable. Then the breath can be easily suspended for extended periods of time. In this sutra, Patanjali describes the 3 types of pranayam on the basis of the nature of the interval that causes a temporary suspension of the breath. The 3 are different types. The first one is external breath retention, that is Bahirya Kumbhak. A pause after a very slow and prolonged exhalation. Internal breath retention, Abhyantara Kumbhaka. A pause after deep prolonged inhalation. Suspension of breath, that is Stambha Vritti. Natural and spontaneous suspension of both the external and the internal breath. The chest remains standing still like a straight pillar or a motionless jar full of water. Therefore, it is called Stambha Vritti Pranayam. Stambha means pillar, Vritti also means similar. This can take place anytime when the breath becomes very subtle and the mind is totally one-pointed, concentrated on the infinite. In this method of pranayam, Patanjali says that the interval is regulated by space, that is desha, time, that is kala, and numbers, that is sankhya. Space, that is desha, refers to where the breath is held, external, internal, or suspended. So, before beginning pranayam, one should strengthen and purify the body and the subtle pranic channels, that is the nadis, by practicing the following 5 purification techniques. This will also make your pranayam practices more effective and lay the foundation or awakening the energy in the spine. In addition to the 4 classical purification techniques, you can also practice Jalaneti, that cleanses the nasal passage, the pharynx and the sinus cavities. The 5 purification techniques are, in addition to the classical Hatha Yoga Shatkriyas, that is 6 methods of purification, there are 4 purification techniques based on these devised by yogis, that is simplified and make safer the methods of purification. These 5 techniques can be practiced instead of the classical yoga shatkriyas for purifying the nadis, the subtle pranic channels, and for awakening the chakras and the energy in life. The 5 purification are practiced in the following model: Jalaneti, Nadi Shodhan, Kapalabhati, and Agnisar Kriya. and Ashwini Mudra. The yoga way of breathing. Yogis have stated that a person who breathes shallowly, in short, sharp gasping is expected to reduce his or her lifespan, compared with a person who breathes slowly and deeply. So sure were they that of this principle that they measured a person's lifespan not in years but by the number of breaths. They considered that each individual is allocated a certain numbers of breaths in their lifetime, with the numbers varying from person to person. Therefore, if a person breathes slow and deeply, he will not only gain more energy and vitality, but they also optimize their experience of life. The ancient yogis who lived in the forest of India or in secluded hill or mountain regions had intimately contact with nature all around them. In this natural environment, they were able to observe and study the wild animals in great detail. They discovered that animals that do a slow breathing rate, that is snow, crocodile, elephant and tortoise, have a longer lifespan. Conversely, they notice that animals with a fast breathing rate such as birds, cat, dogs and rabbits are short-lived. It was from these observations that they realize the importance of breath. It is also interesting to know that the respiration is directly related to heartbeat. Slow respiration occurs with slow beating heart, which is conducive to long lifespan. For the human being, it is important to understand that the stress, anxiety, nervousness, tension, pain, and negative emotions such as anger and fear restricts our natural breathing, causing it to become irregular, rapid, and shallow. We contract our consciousness, whereas when we breathe with a quiet, regular rhythm, breathing slowly and deeply, you have positive feelings. It has a calming effect upon the body and the mind. We expand our consciousness. The mind and the breath are deeply connected. Whenever the mind changes, the breathing changes. One has only to be aware, observe the mind and the breath, to witness how they affect each and every cell of the body. If you change your breathing, you change your thinking. Through learning and experience, the yogic way of breathing, we are made to be aware of our irregular breathing pattern. By consciously being aware, we can begin to change our pattern of breathing and return to the natural breath of breathing. With awareness and embracing life, through learning and experiencing the yogic way of breathing, we are made to be aware of our irregular breathing pattern. Being aware, we can be aware to change them and return to the natural breath of breathing. With awareness and embracing the life in the moment, and practice of yoga begins with the awareness of breath and how to breathe completely. Then when the body and the mind and the breath are prepared, the practice of pranayam can begin. Some of the different types of pranayama are the complete yogic breath, bhastrika, Shitali, Shitkari pranayam, Brahmari, Ujjayi pranayam. So friends, these were some of the information on pranayam. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and please feel free to send any questions that you may have.